Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about my experience and story with epilepsy. I was diagnosed when I was 18 and I started having them just a week before I turned 18. It wasn't something I had growing up. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to help as much as I can. First, I'm going to tell you guys about the type of seizures that I have. I have partial complex epilepsy, which means that the seizures start on the left side of my brain and spread to the right. So everything that I do when I have a seizure is on the right side of my body because it's on the left side of my brain that it originates from. My seizures, when I'm having them, appear to be like a tonic-clonic grand mal seizure. Typically, like when you watch TV and someone has a seizure and they're shaking and everything, that's what a grand mal or tonic-clonic seizure is. So that's what I do. And there's also like two types of epilepsy. There is the type you're born with, genetic, and then there's the type that happens later on with like trauma. And mine is not genetic. Mine is caused by trauma, but it's something we can't figure out, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So my first seizure, I had just started my car and I was about to drive away, but I hadn't yet, and the timing was seriously a miracle because if I had been driving, I don't know what would have happened because when I have seizures, I go completely unconscious. My first seizure, I believe, lasted about 6 minutes, which is a very long seizure. If you know anything about epilepsy and having seizures, it is a very dangerous seizure if it lasts that long. And I was really, really lucky because not only was I not yet driving, I was just sitting there in my car, but I didn't have any major issues after having a 6-minute long seizure, so that's kind of a miracle within itself. So I had that long seizure and I woke up going into the hospital. I'm typically unconscious, I feel like, for about 40 minutes. People who are around me say that I do regain consciousness, but I guess it's really only enough to make a mumble. It's not really like a, oh, okay, like I'm back, okay, what's going on? It takes me a long time to get to that point after I have a seizure. My first seizure, I did go to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I didn't go to the best one, so all they did was drug test me and send me back home when it came back negative. But before I even made it back home, I had another one and he had to turn around. I was very healthy, so this was just something that really came out of nowhere. The week after my first one, I had another one. And typically it seems to be a theme with me that once I have a seizure, I have more than one in a day. So after the second time I had a seizure on a separate day, we really got nervous and we finally were able to see a neurologist shortly after, and the hospital that I went to after I had that seizure for the second day, they gave me Keppra. They gave me, I believe it was only 100 milligrams of Keppra to take twice a day, which if you have epilepsy, then you probably know about Keppra. It is a very gentle medication that even babies can take. So it didn't do much and it didn't stop my seizures. I continued to have them. And there was one day where I had 3 seizures in a row where I did wake up, have another one, wake up, have another one. And this time we went to a really great hospital, Loma Linda Hospital. It's in California. And my mom was attending school there at that point. She was in medical school. So I remember I had a seizure at home. My mom took me there, and while I was in the waiting room to go into, a room, an emergency room, I had another one, and my mom was able to get them to make me a room there. They made a room out of a storage room for me because I was seizing out in the waiting room. So they did a really good job at taking care of me. I remember waking up from those 3 seizures in excruciating pain. I had the biggest migraine I've ever experienced, and I've had migraines since I was a kid. Also, it was just, my whole body was sore, and it was just a really bad time. I have a panic attack usually when I wake up from seizures. It's really hard to understand that your body is kind of betraying you, and it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that like your body can just do that. Because of my seizures, they decided to keep me in Neurology Icu, and that was the day where I met the guy who's now my doctor, my epileptologist. They decided to do more tests on me, and they did an EEG that day, and with that information they were finally able to diagnose me with epilepsy because within that time span, I didn't know what was happening. We didn't know if I had a tumor or something that was causing it. We just knew that I was having seizures that came out of nowhere. I was finally diagnosed, which gave me a little bit of a peace of mind, but at the same time, it meant that I would now have a chronic thing to deal with for the rest of my life, and that I was going to have to make a lot of adjustments. When I was diagnosed, they gave me a big booklet of things that I can no longer do, or things that I now have restrictions on, and also this is when I began my whole medication journey. With epilepsy, every time you try medication and it doesn't work, your chance of success with another medication lowers, and this did happen to me. I have been on several different epilepsy medications. There's only so many out there on the market, so it was a very frustrating experience with many side effects. I took Lamictal. I've taken Keppra, I've taken Lamictal, I've taken Topamax, I've taken Vimpat, and I believe there's another one, but I'm not quite sure. And other than Keppra, all of those medications are kind of more heavy duty. So when I took Lamictal, I did experience lots of side effects, including the Johnson's rash, which is a very bad skin rash that you have to be taken off the medication if you experience that rash, because it can be potentially fatal. But that wasn't the part that bothered me the most. The part that really bothered me was the lucid dreaming. I had terrible nightmares every single night. Not only was I tired from taking medications, and not only was I beginning my bout of depression because of all the new changes that I had to make in my life, but also I had these terrible nightmares, and I was so tired because I never got a good night of sleep. After dealing with the Lamictal, I finally was put on Topamax, and Topamax I did not have such a bad experience with. It did slow me down. I have actually heard an epileptologist before refer to it as Dopamax because it really puts you out of it. Some of the side effects for Topamax are like loss of words and like slower thinking, and I definitely experienced those. After those two medications didn't work for me, I was still having auras with all of those medications as well. I had finally reached the point where I was just completely depressed. When I finally admitted to myself that I was depressed, I didn't want to leave my bed. I didn't want to do anything. I was sad all the time, completely lethargic. After that point, my mom and my doctor both suggested that I go to an epilepsy support group. So I found that thing exactly. It wasn't too far from my house, and I got to go every month. It taught me so much about epilepsy. It really helped me. After taking those medications, the Topamax, the Lamictal, the Keppra, all that, we decided that I had failed too many medications at that point, and because I was depressed, I just wanted it to end. So I started my trial for surgery. So I did a 7-day stay in the hospital where I had to stay up till 6 a.m. and test to have seizures, and would do like strobe light tests, and there's so many different tests they put you through. I tried, and as luck would have it, I didn't have seizures during my 7-day stay. I didn't gather enough data to further my test for surgery, so we did stop at that point, and my doctor and I agreed that if I started having seizures again, we would begin that process again. I decided to start changing my outlook. I decided to try different medications once again, and to just work on myself. And so we found a medication that was kind of new. It's called Vimpat, and it's not generic yet because it is still new. So my current medications that I take 1,500 milligrams of Keppra twice a day, and I also take 100 milligrams of Vimpat twice a day. I have been free of seizures for 2 years now. Almost 2.5, and it's been so nice to be seizure free. I have learned over time that going through that, I wouldn't take it back because it's strengthened me so much, and I now have a greater appreciation for life and the things that it holds, and I've learned not to hold myself back from everything. Even if there are things that I'm not supposed to do, I find ways to be able to do them and still follow doctor's orders. So I encourage you, if you're going through something similar, to really try and find balance in your life with that, and try to come to peace, because when you do, it is so relieving and so gratifying. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope I can help someone. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and now you guys know a little bit more about me. So if you guys have any questions about epilepsy or any comments, please leave them down below. Please feel free to subscribe. I would love to keep making videos for you guys. So if you'd like to see my face again, don't forget to press that button and give it a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye.